Greetings and citations, class, and Miss
Citations?
Pierce. Yes. Welcome to our podcast. Colin, why don't you tell him?
How does this affect LeBron's legacy, where we just connect random things to LeBron?
I'm Parker.
I'm Spencer.
Colin.
Welcome to today's episode of How Does This Affect LeBron's Legacy? So, as you know, we connect 3 random topics and connect them to LeBron James. Today's 3 topics are
You sound like an AI, I'm not gonna lie.
Shut up.
Wow.
NIL in college sports.
The Roman Empire.
We're gonna be talking about different biological processes and other related biological things, and probably science and a few math things as well.
And today, we'll be starting with Spencer's topic of the Roman Empire.
There are a few common misconceptions about the Roman Empire. I'm going to list a few. One is that it ended in 476 AD. Second, that gladiators fought to the death. Number 3, vomitoriums were where the public went to vomit. Number 4, that the Roman Empire lasted a lot less than it actually did. And then finally, that the Huns were solely responsible for the fall of the Western Roman Empire.
The Huns.
The Huns. Yes.
Okay.
So who were the Huns?
The Huns were
The
Huns.
Yeah.
The Huns were a barbaric.
Barbaric?
Barbaric.
There you go.
Barbaric tribe originating from where modern day Germany is, and over the course of the 5th century, they gradually made their way into the Roman Empire, and in 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire fell with the ransacking of Rome. But what isn't known about the fall, or rather, what most people don't know, is that the Huns were not the sole reason. There was many other tribes in ancient Germany and the surrounding areas, such as the Visigoths, who also contributed to the fall of the Roman Empire. But before these tribes were even involved, there was also, over the course of several hundred years before, corruption had also taken hold of the empire, as these things happen with empires and civilizations who become too powerful and
Do
they
you know
become.
why?
Well, before we ask
corrupted.
why, we know the Roman Empire was huge, massive. Even. Isn't that crazy?
It's wild. Yes.
So,
Am I
how big was
doing a
it?
podcast with random people?
The Roman Empire at its height in 117 AD, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
We're just gonna skip the question.
Hmm?
We're just gonna skip it.
No, I'm getting to the question.
Okay.
It was at its height around sometime in the 2nd century under the rule of Emperor Trajan. It stretched from about where the border between the United Kingdom and Scotland is today, all the way into Algeria in modern day Africa, from north to south. It went all of the way from where Portugal is now, all of the way east to where Germany is. They were on the border of that country. Does that answer your question?
That's a great answer. Thank you very much.
But of course.
Bro. Do y'all have ChatGPT in your head?
Yes.
Like
You
I know,
don't?
like I know you just have like a document of your topics.
No, I just-
and
We're
that's
not
all.
even
Like,
reading off the document.
Yeah,
but
no.
like, you have a script that I didn't get.
Yes, we have a script.
Your Neuralink isn't updated? Elon hasn't fit you with that new
not
that
quite,
new
not
stuff?
quite. Forgot to get it. I don't know.
I'm disappointed,
Malware?
Colin.
Question mark.
Such a shame.
Truly, I said malware.
Malware.
Anyways, back to your Colin question. What was it about the Roman Empire?
It's a good question. Like, what exactly caused the corruption? Was it just human greed, or is it?
Yes,
Something
it
specific.
was human greed for the most part. Take Emperor Nero, for example. Well, it's not confirmed. It's widely believed that he purposely started a fire in the city of Rome to make way to create space for his new palace.
Hear me out though.
What?
Yes.
How many people did it kill?
A lot.
Rome was the biggest city in the world for many years. There was
But
millions.
About how many?
There was millions
But like,
How many years though?
for a long time.
I don't know how long that is.
Like 200, 300 years.
That's a pretty long time.
but like, was
Yes.
it like a vacation house?
What do you mean?
Was it like a vacation house type house, or did he just want a new palace?
He wanted a new palace in the city of Rome.
Did he live in it?
Yes.
So he lived in both. He just
So-
No, he made a
it's
new
like-
one. He
oh, so what happened to his old one?
it got
did-
burned along with it. I'm pretty
so
sure.
so was it like
Okay, I got you.
older, like think White House type of deal, or like?
Well,
what
no,
was-
the White House fire was started by enemy forces. He did it to himself.
No,
All I'm
I'm saying
hearing
like
was
just
that
the
it was-
palace. Like, how does it compare to the current day White House? You know,
It was a lot bigger.
That was-
It was massive.
massive.
Wasn't
Yeah.
it like a monarchy? Or
What do you mean?
Theocracy, monarchy, theocracy. The empire at the time.
It was a monarchy because it was empirical. So there was an emperor, but because of the corruption, especially,
Hold up. So all I'm hearing was that it was a controlled to an extent fire,
it wasn't. I don't know,
or
something like
or
that.
did he just threw a match type deal? Is it just like that's enough space. Enough space.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So how exactly did the Huns, contribute to this stuff?
The fall.
Yes, the fall.
Well, see, at this time, the Roman Empire was becoming weaker because in the 3rd century, it was a rather tumultuous century with many civil wars, such as the War of the Five Emperors, taking place. So the Roman Empire, and especially its military, was left very weakened, which meant that these Germanic tribes, especially the Huns, led by Attila, had more than enough space and power to come, not waltz in, but they began to chip away at the outer sections of the empire. And slowly they moved in, causing the Western Roman Empire, especially Rome, to fall in 476 AD.
You see.
Why didn't we bring the forks in?
That's a shame.
No,
What a shame.
What a shame.
we forgot.
We forgot a prop,
So-
unfortunately.
We forgot many props. Actually,
Many props.
Spencer's been collecting for weeks now. He's very proud of this collection.
I am quite proud of this collection. It is measuring into the 3 figures.
Now, the Romans and the
Actually.
Trojans, do they have any relations?
Yes, but no.
How so?
Well, see, the Trojans were a city-state in ancient Greece, which existed long before the actual Roman Empire.
Yeah, I know that much. But
Yes,
like,
but
did they like relations in any way? Like, how were they similar, different?
Rome was basically a copy of ancient Greece. Everything, their gods were basically a copy-paste. They were just
That
given
sounds
new
about right.
names and made more warlike.
That sounds about right, honestly.
So-
from what I know,
Not as original as you might think for an empire.
I see.
it's genuinely real.
I mean, why come up with something on your own when you already have like a
Exactly.
something you
can
just copy
take
word
it
for
from
word?
others.
Exactly.
No, just like how
And
that
this is
guy
why-
burned down his village.
And this is why you should always cheat.
Always cheat,
Okay.
especially
Moral of the
on Miss
story.
Pierce's work.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Moral of the story type deal.
Moral of the story is always cheat because most of the time it will work out.
I believe it. I
So,
believe it.
how exactly does like the Roman Empire compare to other empires? Because, like, I'm aware of.
That's true because
the
we know
empires,
it's
such as the
like
Ottoman.
massive, but like to what extent type deal.
It was one of the biggest empires
When
ever.
you said this,
Yeah,
Yes.
but like
Mhm.
in
Like-
terms of like multiple scales, so like war, economy.
It was the most sophisticated.
So was it just the best at everything?
Basically, it is my belief that for the majority of humanity's time here on the earth, that Rome was the peak of civilization. While they didn't have the technology that we have today, they were also incredibly ingenious and are responsible for a lot of things we use today, such as aqueducts. They came up with those. They were also quite cleanly.
Weren't they good at like city planning as well?
Oh, extremely good at city planning. All of the time in Europe, you can barely have an excavation site going on because more often than not, when you're trying to build something new for a modern day city, you're going to run into something from ancient Rome
That's good.
somewhere along the way.
Bro's still causing inconveniences with his
They are
plans.
still causing inconveniences, but they were incredible engineers, and they have been able to build stuff that is still around today. There's loads of ruins, and some that you could consider ruins simply because they are abandoned because the empire that built them is no longer here. But they are still in very good condition despite being built from stone.
So how's current day Rome like, the city in Italy and just like the whole country of Italy in general?
But before we get to that, it
Um,
might be a little special, but wasn't the Ottoman Empire extremely big?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was.
How does
I mean, it was fairly.
It was
big.
not as massive.
Nowhere near as massive. Its
Yeah.
borders and
What are you
stretches
asking
low.
for comparison?
It eventually started to taper to the point that it faded.
Because
Yeah.
the only thing I can think of is Ottoman Empire, because I remember hearing that was a really big thing.
It was a
but it
fairly big-
collapsed quickly or something.
Oh no, it did not collapse.
What
quickly.
time period was the Ottoman Empire? Because I can't.
The Ottoman Empire existed 1300s, maybe sometime around then, because they were responsible for the actual fall of Rome in 1453,
Okay.
and they had a very slow decline because they did not officially end until the end of World War One, and they lasted a little bit later, dissolving in 1920, I believe it was.
I'm not
So
gonna lie, it lasted
about
a lot
700,
longer.
800
Yeah.
years.
So we've talked a lot about the actual empire, but what about like its fall? Because that's what we've been trying to get to. I would imagine.
Yes. The fall is quite. Not many people know about the actual fall because you could classify the Roman Empire into three sections based on the different names that it's taken. The original Roman Empire was the Roman Republic, which you could still call an empire because it was in a period of expansion since its conceptualization. Wow. And then in 31 BC, under Octavian, it transitioned into the Roman Empire and thus began the Roman Empire, lasting from 31 BC to 476 AD. But that was just the Western Roman Empire because at this time Rome had expanded and the capital had been moved to Constantinople in what is modern day Turkey and has been renamed Istanbul and had become the Eastern Roman Empire, which lasted another 1,000 years after being renamed into the Byzantine Empire.
You're going a bit too quick there. Can you slow down?
About which part?
Just the whole thing in general, like about Turkey, the Byzantine Empire, was
Yes.
it? Yes. You mind slowing down, going into a bit more detail? Just a little bit.
Okay, so the capital was moved from Rome to Constantinople by Constantine.
Wasn't he?
He was the first Christian emperor of Rome, actually, but it's not very Christian, I guess you could say, to name a city after yourself. But being an emperor, you are basically a god to your people.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see where it goes, that where he got his logic from, and he renamed it, being Christian, to Byzantium, which is the shorter version for the Byzantine Empire. They had a new
What's that, Colin?
wild. They had a new flag and everything. Though I will admit, I do enjoy the Imperial Roman Empire's flag much more than I do the Byzantine Empire's flag, because the Rome had their eagle on their flag. It was a golden eagle on a red background, whereas Byzantium was gold coils, I guess you could call it, and on a purple background, which just in my mind, it might be more regal, but not as
I kind of
much
like the
so.
golden purple color pattern though. Do you know that?
I never said I didn't like it. I just prefer the Roman one.
I just feel gold and purple go pretty well together.
Yes.
Sounds well though. But that's also because I feel like
They're complementary colors, are they not?
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
they
they
are.
are. But red and gold also go well.
Red and gold are pretty good.
I wonder if half of that is just because we've grown so used to seeing
Complementary colors together.
No. I mean, well, yeah, but more so because we associate the color purple with royalty, just because it was hard to acquire, and gold, because we see value in gold, and so the two colors combined are just
It is
royalty
probably
and
something
gold.
psychological within ourselves.
Yeah, no, that type of.
So how exactly did the fall go down? Like, what was let's stop talking about the fall for a second. Just like what went down in everyday Rome during like the empire?
I mean, well, the empire was
Survival.
not really. Well, it depends on where you were. If you were in Rome, you were probably employed as some type of, it was a good living. You had a decent job, and depending on the whether you were in war or not, you would probably become a soldier because they paid well. They basically had not life insurance, but your family would be compensated if you were killed in battle. So it was, and you were the best trained military on the entire planet. So the chances of, so you had the ability to rise to glory as well. and earn money. So it was probably one of the better jobs actually in Imperial Rome. But if you were living in Rome, depending on who the emperor was, and provided there wasn't a civil war or barbarians running through your city, you probably just went about your daily job, and then every now and again, whether it was a victory or whether the emperor wanted to make you feel good, there would be a festival of sorts somewhere, probably in one of the many amphitheaters. You would watch a show of some kind, or maybe you would go to watch a jousting arena and watch that, or you could go to where the majority of Roman entertainment took place, other than the certain types of houses that were around, where you had a pleasurable time, to say the least.
Oh, well.
So as we talk about their everyday
Yes.
life, what about like their entertainment? Because I know there's gladiators in the Colosseum, which I feel could connect to my topic quite well, but we'll get to that later, guys, don't worry.
The people actually die in never mind.
Was there death during gladiator battles? And like
There were certain battles that were fought to the death, but not all of them. That's a
Were
very
duels still?
it was gladiators are interesting. Not all this is another common misconception about it. Not all gladiator battles were to the death. Many of them were just for sport, and it was more so like athletes of today, in WWE in particular, and the fact that it wasn't faked, but like it was kind of faked. And you would have
a designated winner. Like a designated winner, and
most of the time you wouldn't kill your opponent, and a lot of it was just for theatrics. Another thing about gladiators is that it was rock paper scissors basically. No, being serious. We know how rock paper scissors works.
Yeah.
Rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, paper beats rock.
Yeah.
In the same way, gladiators work like that, because when you went to become a gladiator, whether you sold yourself into slavery to become one, or you were so poor that you decided to become one, because they were basically the celebrities other than a general in ancient Rome, because it was a very militaristic empire. You were designated one of 3 different classes of gladiator, depending on the type of depending on your build. Like smaller, wiry people, like our friend here, would probably become what is it called? I don't remember. He would be basically given a trident and a net, and which it has its upsides and its downsides.
So basically, I just died.
No, that's the thing. I'm getting to it.
Good luck.
Someone of medium size, like maybe take Colin or myself.
Medium?
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
Okay. Well, you're the most small here.
You are.
So
I mean, that's true. That's
we
not
would
tall.
I feel
probably
like we could fool you. I'm not gonna lie.
we would probably be given the middle class, which had 2 swords, if I'm not mistaken.
How about bigger people? Think Aiden.
Like
or
Xander and Aiden?
Yes.
This would work especially well for Aiden, considering he's already worked out, but they would probably be given a sword in one hand and a shield to use. They would, I don't remember exactly how it went, but each one countered one and failed against another. They all countered each other.
I see.
Like you would, if you were the trident net one, you would work well against one of the others, but terribly against the one.
Wouldn't it be the big gun?
I can't remember.
Just because reach.
I feel like
wise.
small people would small people not do best against the big ones, because
I think
one,
they had the net.
They'd have
No,
speed.
they have the net,
agility.
and gladiators most of the time are deformed, so you probably wouldn't be the most deformed. The bigger ones do. They're
Wouldn't be the most.
I wouldn't be the most deformed.
yeah, because they're
Just a wee
trained.
bit.
They're trained
Just a
specifically,
little.
and so for their type of gladiator, that style that they're told to use. So the ones who use the sword and the shield, whichever hand holds the shield is probably going to have a more developed trapezius muscle and other parts. So if I was that, since I'm left-handed, I would hold the sword in my left, shield in the right, and my right arm and side would be a lot more muscular developed compared to my left, because the shield is a lot heavier than the sword. So hence the deformations, because one side is more developed than the other side.
So, along with the weapons, were they given armor? Because I feel like in movies,
They were given armor depending on it. Like the bigger gladiators were more so like tanks. They kind of had they had the most armor, especially with the shield. Someone with the net and trident would just be. They would be more scantily covered in armor.
That makes sense. You want to play to your strength. If you're small, you're gonna want to move fast.
The larger gladiators were used for like power, and they were slower. Yeah. Whereas the smaller
I see how smaller guys could have.
Were they used in war, gladiators?
Not to my knowledge.
So they were literally just celebrities type deal.
Basically.
Okay, I got you.
And speaking of gladiators, where they took place in what is it called? Amphitheaters, the biggest and most well-known being the Colosseum in Rome. There was such a thing called a vomitorium, which at first glance, you might think that's where, if you had to regurgitate something, is where you would have to go to relieve yourself of that. But in actuality, it is Latin for to spew forth, and these were certain archways and exits specifically designed into buildings to allow large crowds of people to exit quickly.
So it was the vomiting of people, basically.
It was the vomiting of people, not the
just
vomiting of your
of like
internals.
A person, but okay,
Yes.
I got you.
So, time's slowly winding down here. So
Yeah.
Is it working?
yes, slowly. And I think I'd like to learn about Colin's topic,
Yes.
biology.
I have finished mine.
Gonna let it. Okay, I got
So
you.
would you like to connect yours to his before he starts, or after? Would y'all like to connect each other's?
I don't know, because I like
I
like
should.
information more on like sapient creatures personally, or non-homo creatures.
Well, see, what do you mean by non-sapient? Like, remind me of what that means.
Well, I mean,
like non-homo sapiens specifically.
Oh yeah,
like,
you can connect that to.
Once again, though, the topics connect
more
indirectly.
Yeah, that's for later.
Is there anything regarding like four-legged mammals that you have?
I have many, bro.
Yeah, okay. Because oftentimes there were like lions and whatnot used in gladiatorial fights.
That's facts.
Keep in mind though, your topics can connect indirectly more than directly at some times.
Something I did find interesting about lions that I recently found out is that like if there's like whenever they hunt hogs, the hogs will like go underground into like tunnels and whatever else, right? And like it's common misconception because like sometimes lions will start digging into the ground to get to the hog, and then like humans see that after like hours after they've been digging for hours, and it looks haggard, so it just looks like they're making their own grave. And so if that is one kind of misconception that like some people may have, they're not digging a grave, they're digging for a warthog, and it kind of looks funny sometimes because then they dive in the hole, and it's funny to see like a lion just like collapse into a hole sometimes.
Yes, I'm sure. Anyways,
in terms of like other misconceptions that I feel like people often have about biology is like one of the things that I'm sure some of y'all have probably heard me complain about is the golden ratio, the nautilus shell that is often the poster child of the golden ratio.
Can you remind us what the golden ratio is?
Yes.
Okay,
I'd love to know.
okay.
That'd be great.
The golden ratio. Okay, the golden ratio is
Can you tell us?
the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is where you take
Go on.
a number plus its previous number to get the new number. So like you start at 1 plus 0 is 1, so 1, and then the next one would be 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 1 equals 3, 3 plus 2 equals 5, 5 plus 3 equals 8, 8 plus 5 equals 13, so forth and so on. And I might be slightly wrong about I might be slightly wrong about like in terms of it, but you like divide the number by its previous and like somewhere around there, and it equals like 1.618. You might be an AI. It equals like 1.618, and that's also the conversion you use to go from like kilometers to miles and whatnot.
It's actually 1.609.
So the golden ratio
it's around there.
Golden ratio is that spiral, correct?
Yeah, but the actual number for the Fibonacci sequence is 1.618, and it progressively gets more accurate as you get like.
I was just clarifying that 1 mile is exactly.
The only reason I say that is because normally you can go from like say it's 5 kilometers, it'll be 3 miles. You can normally round about if you get the.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Quite.
Fibonacci sequence is interesting. Anyways, it equals the golden ratio at like 70 degree angle, 90 degree I think it's a 90-degree angle. And the Nautilus shell is kind of the poster child of the golden ratio because they both spiral, which you have an image of, so you can show them what
Yes.
the Nautilus shell looks like.
Hold on, I'll show y'all in just a second.
Okay. Anyways, the Nautilus shell is specifically the chambered. I don't know about other Nautilus shells, but the chambered Nautilus shell is the common thing of like the golden ratio, but it's not at all the golden ratio. I mean, it's close.
Yes.
Like initially, but it gets a lot farther away, especially as it grows. And so it's the Nautilus shell. The Fibonacci sequence equates to 1.618, but the Nautilus shell actually goes to 1.33 because it's at an angle of either like 70 to 30%, somewhere around there, and that causes it to like mess up, or not mess up, but like be different in terms of the Fibonacci sequence.
Can the golden ratio be seen in anything else in nature? Because like I'm sure like
Brother, it is everywhere. It's okay. The golden
snail shells, possibly.
I believe so.
I haven't
I
seen a
believe so.
snail in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have not either.
I saw one on like a post yesterday.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, in like real life, when is the last time you seen one?
Yeah, and on a post
No,
at my
not
house.
on a post.
No,
Oh,
you
on
mean
the
on
subject.
Yeah, I mean,
house.
My bad. My
No, I
bad.
just haven't seen it. I've seen slugs. I have not seen
I
snails.
don't think I've
in
ever
piece
seen a
of it.
snail.
I have an interesting snail fact. That
I've picked up a snail before. It was weird.
Why?
That's real. They have like they have like a foot that they
Isn't
like,
there those like sneeze
sneeze.
sea
Sneeze.
snails that are like
Sea
kind
snails are
of
funky.
No, what are the ones that are like that will kill you? Like the snails that will kill you? Because I've heard of them. I forgot what they're called.
I don't know. Because I don't know. I'm not too much of a snail person, other than like the one like random snail fact I know.
Ah, they're cone snails.
Interesting.
I've heard of those
Or
before.
you have the default response.
Interesting.
Anyways.
Actually.
Actually, I might as well, because we're talking about the Nautilus shell. I might as well get to like shell snails. First of all, the golden ratio can be seen in many things. Like if you look at the way sunflower seeds go, it goes along the golden ratio. I'm pretty sure the Mona Lisa is painted along the golden ratio. A lot of the times, like things that follow the golden ratio are like made in the sense of the golden ratio. Are just generally like more appealing to the human eye on a basis, which it's probably because it's more pattern-esque and humans naturally look for patterns and things because our brains are able to comprehend that easier, and finding patterns just allows us to process everything faster because of the amount of stimuli received from everything. Anyways, with the snail shell, what's interesting is it happens very, very rarely, but sometimes the shells twist right, and sometimes that very rarely that gets inverse into a left twist snail shell, and what that basically does is it reverses all of their organs. So this left snail shell can't actually mate with the right snail shell because the organs are reversed, and so they won't be compatible. And so something that happened in the 2000s, somewhere around there. They found a left snail shell, and they obviously want that. It's an recessive thing, and so they found the snail's name was Jerry, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a
Jerry
great
the
name.
snail.
It is a very good name.
And so they wanted to find Jerry a loving wife, and so they finally
Someone named
found
Jane?
one after years. They finally found one. They found two actually after years.
So Jerry had a girlfriend before you two?
No, I've been asked.
I've had
Anyways,
girlfriends.
Oh, well.
That's facts.
He hasn't.
Bro, I have too many AP classes to worry about. I don't need to worry about women. Anyways,
Real.
and so
That's a good
they
point.
brought over the two left-sided snails in hopes that like they would mate with Jerry. And those two snails mated with each other, and so
Each
Jerry
other?
was with each other. And
In
so,
front of Jerry?
I don't know if it was in front of Jerry.
How
but
did they
Jerry,
do that?
They did all of that to like get Jerry a girlfriend, and then Jerry just poor Jerry, bro.
Poor Jerry.
Was he like
Jerry.
Isaac Newton?
Yeah, kind of. But I do think he eventually they found
really?
another one before he died. I might be wrong about that.
So did he die maidenless?
I
That's the
don't
question.
think so. I think he did. I think they did
Yeah!
get him one.
Let's go,
So
Jerry.
Jerry. But like it's
W.
like-
Jerry.
Bro, Jerry, poor Jerry,
Poor Jerry.
Genuinely.
Rest
At
in
least they got
peace.
the left-sided snail shell babies, so that's pretty.
Rest
that's
in
pretty
peace,
cool.
Jerry.
Agreed. My thing is it technically considered a different species? Because species, normally the way you tell like the difference between species is just whether they can mate, and like produce fertile children. And the left-sided snail shell technically can't produce with a right-sided snail. So like, I think the genetic
So would
makeup
it be a different
technically be
species?
close.
I think it could be considered one.
I think like to a degree.
Would it be a different species or a I wouldn't say mutation. It wouldn't be one of those.
Well, it's
It would
technically a
be.
mutation.
Would it?
Yeah.
It's technically a mutation, but like I think the genetic makeup is still like too close, and it's technically a snail, even if it can't like mate with it. So like I feel like
So is it like the growler bear, like the grizzly bear and polar bear mixes?
no, because the way a lot of those mix up, like the Zors and whatnot. the way-
Zors.
yeah, the zebra and a horse.
What about the ligers?
Those work the same way about what I'm about to talk about.
Mhm.
The way those work is you get creature A that's close enough to creature B. It's like a horse and a zebra.
Zors.
And they mate, but the creature they make is actually infertile.
Zoinks.
And so that's why like a Zorse isn't an actual like species in itself, because to be a species you have to be able to mate and produce offspring. And a Zorse and like liger and other stuff can't do that. And there's some cases where like they can produce fertile offspring, but that offspring can't necessarily like mate with other things. Not to mention, to be a different species, the genetic diversity has to be great enough compared to the other one, which is probably also why the left-sided snail isn't considered a species. One thing they could do theoretically.
It can reproduce though, right? It's just like
Yeah.
things choose not to.
The what?
Like other right-sided snails choose not to.
No, I think
No,
you
they
say
like
that's
legitimately
physically
can't mate
impossible.
because
Oh, they
their sex organs are flipped basically. So
It's just incompatible.
yeah.
So is it like a debate whether it can be mutate? Not mutate.
No,
Is there a way
there's
to-
not a large
Species?
enough. There's not a large enough population. One thing I guess they could technically do is they somehow managed to get a large enough population with a large enough biodiversity of left-sided snails that probably could be considered a different species.
Do you think there's a way to flip the organs in the left side snail, or would that probably
That'd
kill it?
100%? Because first of all, everything's kind of like in the shell, and I'm pretty sure most of it is probably like to some degree attached to the snail to the shell within reason, obviously, because that's protected.
Food for thought.
So at this point, would we are scientists considering it a mutation or just like a rare deformation?
Same thing.
Same thing?
Defects and other things are just caused by
True.
mutations.
True.
Because like all a mutation is just a random change in the gene compared to what it was like supposed to be, and so like that's what everything is to some degree. Everything is caused by mutations in terms of organisms. So like from a common ancestor. And so all of differences between every other creature was originally caused by a mutation that just eventually became good enough for the creature that it allowed them to survive to an extent, or be able to produce more offspring or survive, and or both to an extent. So like
All this talk about snails making French people hungry, bro.
Real. The French are salivating.
I'm about
might
to
try
talk
to
about
find your
crabs, so
location.
if you're a sea
Crabs?
lover. Yeah, because on the topic of like mutations, they're like, because like you can have a mutation that's bad to like live with, but good for producing offspring. So like there's a type of crab that has like a gigantic like right claw, like so like big that it like can hardly move it or like use it to actually crush things. But the thing is the bigger the claw, the more likely the female is to mate with that male. And so while the claw is practically useless in actually helping it survive, it's actually more appealing to females, which allows it to mate more and then produce more offspring. And that's why that trait, although like making them less likely to survive, it did like come out as a favorable trait. Also, another thing with that is like when it comes to mutations and like traits like that and adaptations, is like it's not only is it more appealing to the female because of whatever the female wants in the male, whatever it's looking for, like the giant claw. If you're able to live to the point where you can mate and produce offspring, then like with that like a defect per se or like disability, then like you like it is to the, like you have kind of like proven yourself that like you can at least do something, you know.
Real.
Yeah.
Unironically.
So, do you have any other topics, or are you just talking about like snails and things with shells?
I can talk. I have so much stuff.
Well, I mean,
What do you want?
could we like limit it though, because I know you have a
Yeah, what do you
lot to
want?
talk about.
What do you want?
Well, since we're on the topic of like snails and lobsters, things with shellfish. Do you have information on that topic?
Like shellfish, specifically?
Yes.
Or,
Things of that matter, with a shell.
oh, just with the shell in general. I mean, I talked about another shell in my opinion on that. I talked about crabs. I'm not like too big on like shell based creatures. Just because I'm more interested in like reptiles and other such things. I don't really know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not too big of a shell person. The only thing I can really realistically think about is like turtles and the fact that like their spine is like their shell is the bone and the spine is connected to that, and so like
I've always been confused on like the internal organs of a turtle.
I mean it's basically the internal organs of most things, other than the fact that like the spine is.
Isn't everything connected to the shell?
To some extent, but
Yeah,
it's also.
turtles. No, I'm sorry, you're talking about like turtles can't live without their shells, right?
No.
Their spine is fused to it.
True.
I mean, it'd be pretty hard to live without it for now.
For now.
For now. I mean, if we tried hard enough,
I'll do it.
then like.
So how does that connect to like the tortoise beating the hare?
Well, the shell did slow it down, did it not? Because it's heavier?
Yeah, because that's gonna be the only reason, not the fact that like hares were built to run and turtles are meant to like just go inside of.
But a tortoise and a turtle are not the same, are they?
They're not. Turtles.
I would have never known.
Tortoises.
Not in the biology.
Tortoises are mainly on land. I don't think they can go on
Yeah,
land.
because
unless
they
it's
have
a shell.
legs and not flippers.
Yeah, I know. It's like sea turtles. They're pretty chill. I like those guys. I've never seen one, but I like them.
Can we segue with the tortoise and the hare from biology into sports and the NIL?
I mean,
What do you think turtles live in?
Turtles?
Yeah,
Water?
there's sea turtles,
Ocean.
turtles, and tortoises. Tortoises are only on land. Turtles are land and water, and sea turtles are only water.
So did like turtles that can be land and water? Where do they live?
Why
cannot
are
live
they not
on
paying
water.
taxes?
That's what you're thinking. Why are they not paying taxes? They don't have to. They don't own a home that
Okay,
they have to pay
If
taxes
we were
on.
to.
And after a change of scenery, we've returned to how does this affect LeBron's legacy? So we left off with Colin talking about difference between turtles and tortoises, right? So now, speaking of tortoises, the tortoise and the hare. So we're going to talk about hares now, and Colin's going to take the show. Come on, Colin.
I'm hiding my elbows. That's premium content, Parker.
Premium
Come on,
content is
man.
great.
You have to
Okay.
pay to see the elbows.
So
Okay.
hares, right? Tell us about
Hares.
them. Biology. That's what that was your topic.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, going on like hares, one of the it's only in some like species, but like most bred species of like bunnies and hares and whatnot, they have that low fur because it's been like bred into them, and we constantly shave them into other stuff. But wild hares, or at least like I said with some species, they actually grow their hair out like a lot of hair and fur, and so they just look like a giant like fluff ball.
Okay, is there a
Basically.
difference between hares and rabbits and bunnies? That's always confusing me. It's like what's the difference? Why do they have different names?
That's a good question. I don't really know the answer to that. Because I like more stuff like reptiles and whatnot, so that's what I know more about. In terms of hares and bunnies, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if it were different species. Just because
the name though.
because it's two different names and we always use them like interchangeably. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it literally was just a name, kind of like how what's a good example? Like because like it could be like because like a lot of things have like a scientific name and then a bunch of random common names with like a few common names being a bit more common. And so I feel like that might be what the situation is more like, but I could definitely be wrong about that. So,
So, hares,
Yeah.
we were talking about tortoises a second ago. What if we go back to the tortoise and the hare?
Tortoise and hare.
Explain that. Because,
Like the
everyone knows
book?
the story.
The
Everyone knows the fable. The tortoise
so, like-
beat the hare because the hare kept getting too tired.
Yeah.
But, like,
No,
is there
the hare-
biology behind
it's-
that? Or is that just...
There is actually a little bit that you could definitely argue for, just in consideration of the fact that, like, smaller creatures, their metabolism is a lot quicker, which is why they eat so much, which is why mice and rats and whatnot. It like literally goes through them quicker, but because of the small amount that they eat, they also use it up really quick because of their smaller bodies and quicker metabolism.
So that explains
and
why
so
the hair kept being
it could have theoretically have been tired enough each time to like feel the need to go to sleep, to try and like slow the metabolism a bit. In terms of hair beating it. It is like a misconception that like turtles are slow. They are not slow at all. They are extremely quick.
Oh yeah, I've seen plenty of clips. You know, if you look up clips of turtles, you can see them just like sprinting.
You've never gone betting on turtle racing?
No. But anyways, the tortoise and the hare, that's cross country, is it not? That's a sport, which can connect us to my topic of NIL in college sports.
And what does NIL mean?
NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And you see what it does.
What?
Image,
name,
likeness.
image.
Okay, I heard something.
Can I talk?
No.
Name, image, and likeness. Now, what this allows for is for college players to be paid based off of their popularity through mainly brand deals. What are y'all doing? Mainly. Ooh, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm lost. I need my notes. Mainly brand deals, sponsorships, endorsements, and social media. So, NIL has been a debated topic for a long time because in the early 2000s, late 1990s, was the creation of college sports games, you know, such as college football, video games on consoles and whatnot. And players were arguing that, hey, our name, our image is in this game, we should be played. However, the NCAA, which is the National College Athletic Association, they argued against it, saying, no, you're still in college, we can't pay you like a professional. However,
for like pay to their life, like how they look.
What were you saying?
Like what were they asking for?
College players, since their name and image was in things such as video games and, you know, on TV as they were playing their sports, they argued, hey, you're using our image and our name, you should pay us for this.
Is that like how what is it called, Madden? A lot of the players don't have tattoos because the artists think that they should be compensated for their work in the game.
Yes, that can count too. However, in July 1st of 2021, after years of debate, they finally allowed for college players to be paid. Can y'all quit moving around?
We're not doing anything.
There was a Supreme Court case which can apply to our current topic of justice in the classroom. It was.
How does it connect to that?
Because it's a Supreme Court case. Whether you think justice was upheld or not.
Yeah.
It was the court case between the National College Athletic Association versus Alston in 2021, which helped pave the way for NIL, challenging the restrictions on compensation for student athletes. I apologize if I'm not speaking clearly. Now
It's kind of cold.
It's
is
very
quite
cold.
cold.
Okay, it's not like cold. But
If we're outside, it's cold on Friday, and we went for a run, so.
It's very fun.
We're quite in shape.
Yes. No, we're not.
Two of us are. Two
No.
of us are. A little buddy here.
Shut up.
Okay, he like hurt his ankle at first.
I did too.
Now
Not at the start,
there are
but-
different laws for different states, meaning that, you know, different athletes at different universities will get different opportunities and restrictions based on where they attend college. So, like, if you go to the University of Alabama, you're going to get different opportunities than if you went to, say, the University of Colorado State.
Wait,
Or
so
Colorado
state
State
by
University.
state?
So like
So
states.
state by state?
Yes, it's state by state laws pretty much.
Do you know the one that for the most?
That makes
like
a lot
NIL
of sense,
stuff?
actually.
I'm unsure of the one for the most, but I
I
imagine
assume it's an SEC.
I'd imagine it'd be bigger state, like popularity wise bigger states, so like
Like
Georgia,
Texas,
California,
Georgia.
Texas, like the main states, you know, the states you think of.
Yeah.
Now,
Honestly.
Alaska.
however, no, not
I
Alaska
think
doesn't
they
even
do
have a
that one.
Division I college, I don't
know.
believe.
Show some love for my Alaskans.
Okay. Now, schools
The
can't
Eskimos.
directly pay their athletes to play. Compensation, you know, it has to come from outside places, such as like brands like Nike, Adidas, Jordan's a big one. Under Armour. Can you scroll my Chromebook, please? Just lay down a bit. But colleges can't pay directly because the NCAA doesn't want to allow for, any influence on where a student's going to apply for college. However, with the transfer portal, which allows student athletes to change schools, there's been you scrolled too far. There's been a lot of controversy about that because with the introduction of NIL, many student athletes have been changing colleges to get the best NIL opportunities, which has brought a lot of controversy to many college athletic programs.
Do you know if there's any solutions?
Solutions?
Speculated?
A lot of people have been saying set limits to it, be stricter, or like you can, or have it to where you can only transfer a certain amount of times throughout your college career. Because there's been a few players.
Transfer portal.
Yes, that's the topic I'm on.
Carson Beck.
To Miami, yeah.
What about Carson Beck? Where did he leave to, and for what?
He left Georgia for Miami. The main rumor that why he left was his girlfriend goes to Miami, and I believe she's a college basketball player.
I did not know that. I thought she was like a cheerleader.
No, basketball player. But I believe he also got like $8 million. No, I think was it $8 million? I feel like he got more. I'm not entirely sure because Georgia athletics is not something I follow too often. However, there have been college athletes who have transferred every single year of college. I would list some examples if I knew some, but
Mississippi State's team was all transfers, all their starters.
Yeah, so it's called like the University of Colorado is also a lot of transfers because of the influence from their coach, Deion Sanders, who was a former NFL player.
Did he just play in the NFL?
No, he's been retired for a long time.
Yeah, but didn't he play in another sport?
He played baseball at the same time he played in the NFL.
Was there another player like that? Who played football and baseball?
Bo Jackson was another player. He played in the NFL for Las Vegas, and I believe he played for Chicago in the MLB. I don't exactly remember. However, there's been a few athletes like that I can't exactly name because, once again, it's hard to pull these facts off the top of my head. But, there's been a lot of players who've transferred for influence, mainly through money and NIL offers. I'm trying to think. There was an Alabama wide receiver who transferred to Texas because they offered him millions of dollars in a Lamborghini, and it's brought.
Lamborghini's pretty good though.
It's a good offer, but a lot of people have said, "Hey, you need to put limits on this, or the sports are going to turn out awful." Yeah. I'm mainly bringing up football examples because that's what I know. Yeah. I don't follow many other college sports, but it's happened throughout many sports, many times, for the main reason being. I want better opportunities to earn money as a student athlete. Y'all have any questions? Because I can answer.
I don't know. You kind of explained it pretty well.
I mean, I tried to.
It was quite thorough.
Was it?
I think you delivered a good job.
Yeah. I'm not like too knowledgeable in sports enough to like ask like.
I just assumed that the reason you don't know about NIL and other sports is that it's the most predominant in football.
Yeah, football is definitely the most predominant sport. If you're on social media, that's a large place for athletes who are into NIL. You can see posts with them all the time. Another example of NIL playing a factor is a high school quarterback football player who the University of Michigan, not directly, an outside funder paid $12 million to recruit him to the Michigan football program, which eventually overturned his commitment from Louisiana State University to Michigan, which brought even more complaint because, colleges shouldn't change their decision. Players shouldn't change their decision on college just based off of money. They should do it based off where they think they want to go, based on coaching, where they think they'll get best opportunities. Not just for money, though.
Money's a pretty good opportunity.
Money's a great factor.
Money's a pretty good opportunity.
If you have self-confidence and if you go, if you're good enough to go to a high-level program, such as how Bryce Underwood was expected to go to Louisiana State, which is a consistently top 25 college in the country. If you're a player on that skill level, you're going to make the NFL and make money. But, you shouldn't let money in college influence your decisions, basically.
Oh, yeah, definitely
is
not.
what many people complain.
Definitely.
However, there are benefits to NIL, such as giving you financial freedom. However, it can create an unfair advantage for like the programs that make more money, like.
So you're saying like it'll take away from the smaller colleges?
Yeah, smaller colleges won't be able to get as good recruits. Like,
and it'll
just get worse.
Yeah. I can name an example of a smaller college, I'm sure. Jackson State University had...
Where?
Jackson State, I believe it's in Mississippi. I'm not sure where it is. I think it's Mississippi, but it's a Division
Point
II.
proven.
Shut up.
Case in point.
Yeah, case in point. It's a small college. However, they had star football players Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter.
Did they really?
Yes, they did. And Deion Sanders was the coach at that time. But then Deion ended up going to Colorado, causing Shedeur and Travis to transfer. And now Shedeur and Travis are projected top 10 picks in this upcoming NFL draft. However, the transfer was mainly for more NIL opportunities because the University of Colorado is a much bigger school than Jackson State, which is an HBCU. However,
can you inform us as to what an HBCU is?
Historically Black College University. I'm sorry, but I don't know too much about them. But I know they were predominantly black colleges, especially back in the 1900s.
That makes sense.
Back when there was segregation throughout schools in the states. And they've grown in popularity a lot recently. That's a bit far off my topic.
That's real.
Well, my expertise. I don't know much about like different types of colleges, but I know like what they.
You know the like info about the sport, not the
I know the
college
sports,
type
not
of
the
deal.
college.
So
Yeah,
we're
does that
get
make
back
sense?
towards your topic then?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to stay on. And then once again, the transfer portal it's brought an overactivation basically. They want money, basically.
Money.
College players want money, and it's caused a lot of controversy throughout the sport.
That makes sense. Do you know some other issues that are currently active? Like,
In like college sports,
yeah.
a lot of things about college sports that I've been seeing is like
Just monetization.
monetization, yes, and then there's been a lot of complaints about referees in every sports, not just college, like on the professional level. A lot of people are.
So like betting and whatnot? Is that I heard
yes,
about that?
sports betting is
Yeah.
massive.
It's
It's a big issue. There have been many player suspensions due to sports betting.
Why is it considered an issue?
Because, well, one, if they're players betting on sports, they can intentionally do good. I mean, you can't intentionally do. They'll intentionally do bad in order to win themselves money, as well as other other fans. Fans will be betting money, and then there have been death threats given to players for selling parlays.
Oh,
Okay,
I see.
this is it's a big issue.
Seems like people like their money.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, why don't they like solve the issue by just like implementing a like official like betting thing that like can ban like certain people from betting? But since there's like stuff like
It's
that,
because
I
the
guess,
death
like,
threats are
yeah.
through social media, and you can't really track that to
Yeah.
sports betting app. While there are many sports betting apps,
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
sports betting's become a big issue with fans, players, even. But yeah, there's been plenty of issues throughout college sports, money wise, betting wise.
That makes sense.
Main issue has been fans complaining though because things aren't going their way. Which I mean that's an issue that can be ignored. But bigger issues such as NIL are hard to be ignored with the massive impact they've had over the past 3-4 years in college sports in general.
No, honestly, checks out.
It's a crazy issue. Y'all have any questions at all? Because I'm trying to keep going.
Yeah, I get what
I think
I feel like you covered it extremely well. I won't even lie.
I mean,
it's
it's
very
a-
in depth.
I believe I've written an essay on this before, so.
Okay, that's
I'll explain the prior knowledge.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
And-
Okay, so to pose a question to you,
Yep.
how does the NIL connect to the main topic of our podcast?
LeBron
That
James.
being LeBron.
So, well, I'm sure y'all will connect your topic. I'm sure y'all will connect your topic afterwards. But if we want to connect my topic, first of all, LeBron James did not go to college. I'm sure that's a fairly known fact. He went to what high school again?
St. Mary's, I believe.
He went to St. Mary's, St. Vincent, I believe.
Yes, it was St.
St.
Mary's,
St. Vincent. There, in which he was like one of the greatest basketball players in high school throughout like
his entire career.
His entire career, high school. He was considered better than most college players. Wasn't he drafted number 1?
He was number 1.
Yeah, he was drafted number 1 overall in the NBA draft,
What year?
2003.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
I believe it was 2003.
Now, he didn't go to college, which made him miss opportunities. Not only that, but NIL wasn't available during his time. However, if it was, he would have missed many opportunities.
Do you think if it had been available, he might have gone to it? Because he's a billionaire now.
He's a billionaire now. He's earned millions throughout the league and his brand deals. I feel like it could have motivated him because of, he was a high schooler. A lot of high schoolers have that type of personality. But with an opportunity such as being a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, I don't see how he could have passed that up.
Yeah.
However, he was on many, he was on the cover.
Nike sign him?
Nike? Did they?
I can't remember. It was 20 years ago.
20, yeah. I know he's been on the cover of many magazines and he's been nationally televised. Like on Sports Illustrated magazines, he's been on the cover a lot, especially throughout high school and college, which would have made him a great candidate for NIL. He could have been like the top earner of his time.
And speaking of NIL and LeBron, gladiators in Rome, especially, they were like the ancient Roman celebrities. So they had their not NIL, but
Why are you waddling, Colin?
waddling. But a lot of the times they would take not sponsorships. I don't remember what it was called, but they would be used to like promote things that people wanted to sell.
Commercialization is what you're saying? Commercialization's been used. LeBron James has been in plenty of commercials. I know he's been in a Progressive ad because I've seen that everywhere where he's like dressed up. He's got a wig on with a Progressive apron on. Yeah. He's been in plenty of commercials.
Oh yeah.
He's very popular. So commercialization and monetization is a great way to connect like gladiators from ancient Rome to LeBron James.
Yes.
Not only that, but another way to connect it to NIL to LeBron is his son, LeBron James Jr.
Also known as
Bronny. He was in college for a year before declaring for the NBA draft, and that got him plenty of opportunities for money, mainly due to his name.
No, it was his name.
It was mainly due to his name. He doesn't have too much basketball skill. No offense to him. He's better than me. He's better than me. He made the NBA because of his father, though.
Okay, but he also made it
He's
to
on the
college.
same team.
He made it to USC.
He made it to USC.
Genetics.
Okay, Colin.
I mean, genetics did play a part.
Yeah, I mean, he's tall. He's got the weight. He's got skill.
Is there a way to connect genetics and LeBron?
What do you mean, bro? It's made of organic matter and DNA. What do you mean? Is there a way to connect genetics?
Okay, but we have to like.
LeBron?
Well, because you literally take 50% of your DNA. Half of your DNA is your father's, and half is your mother's. How is there not gonna be a connection?
I'm just asking if you can go in depth on that connection.
Huh?
Go in depth to how you can connect biology
genetics and biology
how,
to LeBron
okay.
James. Also known as the GOAT.
50%.
No, Colin, you
your
don't understand.
DNA.
It's for the point of the podcast. How does biology affect LeBron James? How does biology affect LeBron James' legacy?
Okay, if you
Before
didn't
we go
know,
back to my topic.
Bronny's father is really good at basketball, right? And
we're not talking about Bronny. We're talking about LeBron.
Oh, we're talking about specifically LeBron?
Yes, because that's our podcast.
Okay, well, first of all, bro has phenomenal genetics in terms of, literally, most things. Just because, for the most part, your genetics are predisposition based on what your parents have. Now, that specifically is extremely random because you're filled with a bunch of recessive genes. Okay, and those recessive genes, they don't show if a dominant gene is present. So things like brown eyes is dominant compared to blue eyes. So while you might have blue-eyed genes, if you have any sort of brown-eyed genes, you just have brown eyes.
However, how does it affect,
because
his life and career, his mainly career.
Okay, a lot of what you're composed of and what you're able to achieve is based on your bodily structure, which is composed of your genetics, which having better genetics in terms of For example, one genetic that is like
Talk to the camera.
physically predisposition is fast twitch muscles and slow twitch muscles, and you're predisposition to have like the fast twitch muscles, and so what those basically do is make you faster, and you, for the most part, predisposition
Doesn't it
have that
also
you
make
can't
you
really
more
change
athletic?
that. Yeah.
If you want me to simplify what Colin's saying, because I know he confuses
Go ahead
many
and speak.
people in the class, he's saying LeBron's genetics make it to where he has a much more likely chance to be successful than many other.
Bro is genuinely built different in the literal sense.
Yes, he's got a lot of genetic talent that makes him much better than anyone else in the league. He's been
Don't give up your hopes though, because there's a thing called eugenetic. There's a type of genetics that's physical that's specifically adapting to your environment. That's specifically adapting to your environment, and so your environment can also change your genetics to some degree. And so, considering his work ethic and also considering the environment he was raised in, he not only were his the genetics he was born with just genuinely better than a lot of people's actual genetics that they were born with, they specifically his environment was allowed his genes to better adapt. Not to mention he's going through constant training, which is constantly developing his body to a better state.
Keep in mind, he's 40 years old and still putting up immaculate numbers in the NBA.
That's very true. Real though.
He's been considered the GOAT along with Michael Jordan, which has been a great debate.
Agreed though. But genuinely, something I will say is something that is he doesn't get from his father is your mitochondria. You only get your mitochondria.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the
Shut
cell.
up! No, it's not. Miss Moss says otherwise. Okay,
not the powerhouse
your
of the cell?
mitochondria. No, and I can get onto that if I need. Mitochondria. You specifically get from your mother. And so if you have bad mitochondrial DNA, the only person to blame is your mother and her mother and her mother. Because they've passed down these bad mitochondrial DNA genetics to you specifically, and now you have to deal with this. Anyways, the mitochondria produces ATP, which is not the powerhouse of the cell. Because
I thought it was though.
No,
What is ATP?
Okay,
Yo, what is ATP?
no, mitochondria produces ATP, and ATP, basically the way it works is it's adenosine triphosphate. And what it is, it's adenosine, and then you have 3 phosphates on the end. Now, because of the charges, you have
too quick, Colin.
You have 3 positive. Okay, the way the molecule is you have the adenosine, phosphate, phosphate, phosphate. Okay, now phosphate is a positive charge, and adenosine is negative charge. And now, while it does technically even out because it has to be equal, because of the amount of phosphate that's over here that's positively charged, this last phosphate is very chaotic, and so it's very easy
Why is it chaotic?
because you have so much positive charge way out here compared to the negative charge that's centered around here, and so it's a lot easier to break off because it's farther away, so it's attracted less. Think about magnets, how positive is attracted to negative. Because this one's farther, you're able to take off the magnet easier. And so the way adenosine triphosphate works is that this is very easy to break off, the third phosphate, and so when you break it off, it releases a lot of exhaust energy. And exhaust energy is basically just energy that's given off when a reaction occurs. But the exhaust energy, the body uses, not the cell. Okay, the cell doesn't use it.
Wait, so the cell doesn't grow?
No, the cell uses adenosine,
And how does this impact
diphosphate,
LeBron?
whatever it is.
So wait, you're
It
telling
uses...
me, so wait, what happens to the cell as you
uses
get
the
older? Does
product.
it stay the same or does it get bigger? Because as it
I'm
grows
gonna... In what world? In what do you... Okay. Cell, okay, say this is your cell, okay, and you
telling
age,
me it doesn't?
how does that make sense?
You're telling me it doesn't?
No! But how does this impact LeBron? If you would get back to the
Did
topic,
his
how would
cells
this
get too
impact
big?
LeBron?
Is that why he got so tall?
Now, can we just go back? How does this impact LeBron?
Okay, so
Simple. Keep it short. Keep it simple, so we can move on to finish my topic and then.
his
thought
mother
we were supposed to-
passed on
No.
good mitochondria.
what led to
Mitochondria
his cell
creates
size?
energy for the body. And the body uses that energy to do stuff. Because of that great mitochondrial DNA, he has a lot of good energy.
Does it
and
create big cells?
also, his parents and environment contribute to his DNA because there's eugenics, which I'm pretty sure is the environmental changeable DNA. With a good environment, he's able to grow that DNA into better DNA kind.
Is that why Bronny made it to the league?
Yeah.
I mean, affecting his LeBron's legacy.
Now,
is
if
that
we
he's
were-
able to play with his son.
If we were to go back to Bronny and his NIL opportunity, because I never got to finish. You interrupted me.
Basically, he has good genetics, which allow him to do great things.
Yes.
And he works hard. Genetics are
Yes,
are
work
good,
hard
but-
and you can achieve your dreams, okay? You can do anything you put your mind to.
Anything is possible.
But
did
we did it! If we go back to my topic of NIL, which I never got to finish because sadly we were interrupted by genetics with Bronny
I'm
James
the
being
topic.
LeBron's son. Shut up. But yes, speaking of Bronny James, he was already getting NIL deals from like places such as Nike, Beats, you know, like the headphones, speakers, and even an underwear company.
What was the underwear company? Was it the one that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was a part of?
It's
Skims?
PSD underwear.
Okay.
No clue what PSD stands for.
Does it have like his face on it?
I would hope people aren't wearing underwear with his face on it.
That's true.
But this goes back to like what LeBron was when he was in high school. He was getting contacted by Nikes,
because it was good
Nike, Adidas, Reebok, and many other multi-million-dollar companies. Okay, now LeBron his development from high school to like skipping college to being number one in the 2003 NBA draft just highlights how NIL could have like changed past athletes' careers, such as many players who skipped out on
NBA
college.
Basketball stars who didn't go to college?
Yes.
Like Kobe Bryant.
Kevin Garnett.
Tracy McGrady.
Yes, many of those. And any other athlete who skipped college, such as like MLB athletes, they skip college all the time. Like one example could be like Jackson Holliday, who's on the Baltimore Orioles MLB team right now. He went straight from high school to the MLB draft, where he was drafted in the first round, and he's become a solid player in the minors, looking to come up to the majors within the next year or two.
That's interesting.
It is quite interesting. However, if NIL had existed in LeBron's time, he likely would have set the record for one of the highest earning high school or college athletes ever. But however, his influence now has helped shape the future for the next generation on high school and college athletes and their decision making, especially with the growth of NIL over the past few years. Now, Spencer, how does your topic connect and affect LeBron James?
Well,
Did you say my topic?
Well, I mean, gladiators were like the first. Gladiators were like the first
You know why
sports.
gladiators were pretty good?
Genetics, right?
Biology.
But gladiators being the first like athletes to be used in such an arena, it led to the creation of athletes like LeBron James today, and
Being
perhaps
seen as like spectacles, like
yes, and also perhaps had the gladiators never been brought to such popularity during the Roman Empire, we might not have sports as we know them now, leading to LeBron James possibly doing something else.
However, were there any sports or like massive things such as gladiators for entertainment before gladiators, or were they the first?
I mean, they were the first people like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure in ancient Greece, which
Who created
I mean, I'm sure. I believe ancient Greece had something. Greece created the Olympics, did they not?
yes, but a lot of their stuff is also, I feel like, in some myth, like the marathon. I don't know how true that story is. I haven't fact checked it about someone running 26 miles and then dying of exhaustion.
I mean, that sounds.
I mean, it's believable, but at the same time, it could have just been fabricated, like all of the other mythologies that Greece has.
So.
I mean, it's just like ancient sports.
Do you think you could connect Rome to LeBron on any other level than just gladiators?
Well, I mean, commercialization. I mean, how many times have you seen LeBron in a commercial? I mean, the Sprite Cranberry.
Sprite Cranberry is a great commercial.
The Taco Tuesday stuff.
Taco
he loves
Tuesday.
to promote Taco Tuesday, which is a form of commercialization.
He loves promoting Taco Tuesday. That's been that's been a massive thing.
Taco Tuesday.
If you look it up, you can find many videos of LeBron just shouting Taco Tuesday, which, as you know, is everyone's favorite holiday. Where on every Tuesday you gotta have tacos.
You know
Okay.
what makes tacos good?
The genetics of the beef.
Genetics. I mean, to a degree.
Okay, but how does-
You know what makes it taste good? You know what makes it taste good?
Okay, but Colin, do you care to try to connect biology to LeBron James in any other way? Like, how does
Other
it
than
affect
genetics?
how does it affect his legacy? Just biology in general.
Yeah. Like, what does biology do to LeBron?
Biology, LeBron is biology because like I said, it's very repetitive. But like genetics
Don't
is
do
what
that.
makes him up. Genetics is like what makes him up and whatnot. And so like
Look up, Colin.
with bad genetics, like you can't do
up space.
what he does to a degree. Not to mention
It
his,
looks like you're reading something, Colin, and you're not.
Not to mention his biological processes are like, because you have to like when doing stuff like that, you have to train stuff like your lungs and whatnot. You have to train your lungs, your heartbeat, because all of that is like a muscle to some degree. Not to mention just like for example, swimmers have a very good lung capacity just because of the
Like
fact
Michael
that they
Phelps.
like trained that, and like LeBron has like trained like so much Like I said, it's very repetitive, but like his body is
Repetitive.
genuinely just built different, in like thanks to his training and like his genetics and whatnot. And it's like when you realistically think about like what he's able to accomplish, and like when you look like slightly, but like when you look at his insides in terms of like internal organs and whatnot, it is
His
like,
insides.
it is like crazy to the extent of like what his
Such as lung
stuff
capacity?
does. Yes, like what he
Like Michael
like what
Phelps.
his body does compared to the average like human. Like it is actually insane. Like I don't like. Because like to some degree, I'd love to see, because like for example, when you're better in shape, what's commonly known is that like your heart rate is slower, and that's because your heart is able to pump blood out better, and the blood provides oxygen to the rest of the body and cells and more specifically the cells. But it provides oxygen. Don't worry about them. It provides oxygen to the rest of your body, right? Which therefore, the O2 is used to do a bunch of other stuff in your body. And you get O2 from like stuff like breathing and H2O and whatnot when that processes happen. But the O2 is used in a lot of different processes in your body, which is why having a slower heart rate is actually better than a faster heart rate. Because when you have a faster heart rate, that increases the blood flow, but it also makes you hyperventilate because now your body needs more oxygen to breathe, and that causes a lot of strain to your lungs and other things. Not to mention the
But can you
your
connect-
saliva and.
So I apologize for interrupting, but can you connect what you actually talked about to LeBron, such as the golden ratio, snails, hairs? Can you connect any of that to LeBron? Because
In terms of like twitch muscles, like for example, I wouldn't be surprised if things like
you were saying,
I wouldn't be surprised if things like if you, because like I said, fast twitch muscles. First of all, hairs probably have a lot of those considering how quick they are, and so like he probably has a lot of those in terms of like contributing to hairs. In terms of like turtles and whatnot, probably lung capacity if anything, because like I mean like turtles specifically, not I don't know necessarily about like tortoises and whatnot, but they obviously have very good lung capacity because they're semi-aquatic.
Spencer, what are you doing?
But they're like semi-aquatic, and so I'd imagine they have really good lung capacity, or at least to some degree extremely good like uses of the oxygen and like blood flow and whatnot. And I would imagine like LeBron would like not to a degree of a turtle, but like he like I said, he has his processes are like so much better than the average human, and it just allows like for a like. He's just better. Genuinely, he's just built better.
You were saying he's built different again?
Yes, because he is. That's how that works. He is
quite
composed
literally-
of better things.
Genetically,
than you.
he is quite literally better
He's
than
composed
anyone.
Of better things
Well,
than
not
you.
anyone.
That's why he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time when it comes
Always
to the
the
sport of
GOAT,
basketball because of his genetics.
That is very true.
Do you know my
Now-
favorite animal is the cave? That's for a different episode.
That is very off topic.
No, because my favorite animal is the cave goat, but that can be for a
Your
different
favorite animal is LeBron?
LeBron.
It's LeBron.
He's not.
It's
I mean,
LeBron
technically.
Cave LeBron.
Anyways, would you like to? People are animals.
I mean,
Yeah.
true. We are creatures.
But Amos, would you like to finish connecting Rome so we can
I mean,
finish
I
out
have,
this
I thought.
episode?
Yeah,
Well,
I
is there
mean,
anything
we
more
just
you'd
keep
like to add?
looping here. We've already connected.
We're looping.
We've already connected.
Is there
it.
anything more you'd like to add?
I know. I'm pretty sure that's it. I can't think of nothing else.
Well then, that seems to be the
Did you
end.
know that like theoretically,
Boom.
You hear me? Hit the rollie, start with the rollie on. What was our getaway car? Jag portfolio. You hear me? Hey, I heard I had some sneak dissers. Whoever feeling hot, that AR got a heat sensor.